Hi friends and readers, welcome back. I am doing another reading vlog this week, and this just might be the coziest slash most anticipated reading vlog for myself because this week we are going to be reading books inspired by Gilmore Girls. This is my first video for October. Of course, we are diving headfirst into all things fall and cozy. And what's more fall and cozy than Gilmore Girls? If you don't know, which I'm sure you do because you're clicking on this video, Gilmore Girls is a TV series. It's been around for years and years and years. But I feel like every year it makes a resurgence. It meets new people. And every day someone new is falling in love with the TV show back from the 2000s or early 2000s. And I just love to see it. I love when people love the show. I love when people get to find a new hobby of watching Gilmore Girls each year in the fall. I myself am not starting a rewatch in the fall this year because I actually just finished the show with my boyfriend. We started watching late last year and we made it through all the seasons and A Year in the Life for his first time ever watching it and like my 5th time rewatching it. So I'm a huge Gilmore Girls fan. I have a dragonfly tattoo. It's a show that I grew up watching on cable TV with my mom. And then when they did the resurgence with A Year in the Life, I was sad. And so I'm excited that this week my love for Gilmore Girls gets to connect with my love for reading and all things bookish. So my reads are going to be one book that's directly mentioned in the show, and I'll show you that later, and then another book that's more so Gilmore Girls vibes. But before we dive into the reading vlog, I do want to make one huge honorable mention that I won't be reading in this video, which you can actually see behind me, but that's because I've already read and listened to it, and that is The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly or Carol Bishop. If you are a fan of Gilmore Girls, then you should definitely read or even listen to this. It is on Spotify Premium if you have any hours for the week, and she narrates it. I only cried a few times. I highly recommend. But I read this when it came out last year, so I won't be reading it this year. It is Monday. I did start our first book last night, but I'm on my lunch break, so I'm going to go eat lunch, finish out the workday, and then catch up with you later to introduce our first book inspired by Gilmore Girls. One last thing, I want you to comment below if you've made it 3 minutes into the video who your favorite Gilmore Girls side character is, because I think that tells you a lot about what you like about Gilmore Girls. My favorite side character has been and will always be Kirk. And then to get even more specific, when Kirk makes the t-shirt for anything that's happening that he sees in the day, like Babette ate oatmeal, favorite thing ever. Okay, talk to you later. First, sorry for the lighting. We are definitely getting cozy, warm lighting for today and probably the rest of the week. It's expected to be gloomy and rainy all week, so you're getting what I can give. For our first book on the list of books inspired by Gilmore Girls, this one is in direct relation, and I'll show you a clip on why. Now, when choosing to read a book inspired by Rory, the female main character of the TV show, it was actually really hard. Rory reads a lot of classics, a lot of intimidating books that are so far out of my genre and my comfort zone, or my comfort zone with genres. Also, a lot of books are shown to kind of portray that Rory is very intellectual, she's very bookish, she reads a lot, that's something she likes to do, but we don't actually see a lot of the names of the books, and so it leads you to believe with all these lists out there of the Gilmore Girls reading list, a lot of it's just made up in books that are honestly probably things that you'd think Rory would read if she had a list of things to read. There are only a few that are actually named and you can actually see in the show. So here is the book, which the first book that I'm starting out with, that was actually mentioned or talked around in the series with Rory and Dean. By the way, Team Logan.
Here.
Oh, how'd you like it?
Well, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Aha, you liked it. You liked Jane Austen. I knew you would.
So Rory most directly mentions Jane Austen, and I think the internet did some sleuthing in the cover that is very briefly shown to figure out that that book was Emma by Jane Austen, a book that came out in 1815. And Emma by Jane Austen is certainly a classic. However, don't hate me, this week we're actually reading Emma by Alexander McCall Smith. This is a modern retelling of Emma by Jane Austen. So this genre is going to be contemporary fiction, but of a classic. And this story was put out in 2014, so about 11 years ago. So you're probably wondering, Victoria, why are you reading Emma, a modern retelling, instead of the original Emma by Jane Austen? And there are a few reasons. First of all, I have this green book and it doesn't even have a cover. I got this book from my mom. It was on her bookshelf. I had to look up the cover, or the cover art essentially, when I started reading it this week. So I stole this from my mom back in 2020 because I liked the green color. I guess she got rid of the dust jacket and I wanted to take it to college to decorate. So I put it in my dorm freshman year, which was height of the pandemic in 2020. It certainly has some wear and tears. There's like water damage and there's some water damage in the pages. And that's because it quickly transformed from decor in my dorm room to a stand, or a makeshift stand. I put it under my mini TV. This TV has traveled with me everywhere. And that's because I got this TV way long ago because it had a DVD player. At my college dorm room bed, it was really high, so I needed to lift my TV up, and this book served that purpose. So why did I need a little TV in my dorm room? And that was so I could watch my comfort show, you guessed it, Gilmore Girls. I had accumulated the DVDs for Gilmore Girls over the years because I was watching this like pre-Netflix era. As you can tell, I just love the look of these. I'm missing some of the CDs, but I have a good bit of the seasons. It's just so nostalgic. And one day in the height of the pandemic, my freshman year at college, around people I didn't even know, I did actually pick up Emma and read, I believe, all of it. But at the time, 5 years ago, I really wasn't into reading all that much and I had no idea what I was reading. And then the last reason, I don't want to waste a book on my bookshelf, so I decided to go with the modern retelling, which there are considerations for this. Classics are a bit intimidating to me, and there's going to be a day where I want to tackle them because of course they're classic, but today's not that day. And also, this video is Gilmore Girls inspired me to read this week, and this is especially one of those nostalgic inspirations. And lastly, I do know that this is a modern retelling by a man of a woman's story, so that's something to consider when deciding to pick up a book like this. Now, I've been talking forever and none of it about this book. I am on page 120, so I've read a good bit. That puts me to chapter 9. The chapters are a little bit longer in this book, and now I'm gonna give you a quick summary of Emma. Honestly, I'm just going to read you the blurb on Fable so you get a good idea. The summer after university, Emma Woodhouse returns home to the village of Highbury, where she will live with her health-conscious father until she is ready to launch her interior design business and strike out on her own. Her dad is a hypochondriac, and it's been so interesting to read about his thought and just how germs, disease plague him every day, internally, externally, and that's all he thinks about. Emma is going to do what she does best, offer guidance to those less wise in the ways of the world than herself. So far, Emma is very headstrong. She's very wise. I can see myself a lot in Emma in things about like rearranging the house a million times, swapping pictures just in different orders, moving her room around. I saw a lot of my younger self in the younger Emma in this story, but we are following Emma across a lifetime, really. So really, this is just a story, a fictional story about Emma, and we're following her. Cue the title Emma. And I'm gonna stop there because this clip has been so long and I've been talking forever. Well, hello there. It is now Tuesday evening slash right after I got off work today. I'm here to provide a quick update on Emma by Alexander McCall Smith. I am more than 50% of the way through this. I think I'm around 60%, just over 200 something pages. And I have been reading both the physical copy that I had, and I also discovered that Libby, the local library, the e-reader version, did have the audiobook and the Libby book, just the regular Kindle version book, immediately available for download. I guess this book is not very popular, so I was able to send it straight to my Kindle and then also listen to it through the Libby app on my phone. So I've been tackling it a little bit on my Kindle as well. Very long chapters, so brace yourself if you ever decide to pick this up. And a quick midway update. Emma is still Emma-ing. I think that you would really like this book if you yourself are a people watcher, you like to observe people, because we get to learn about so many different characters in Emma's life. Her dad, her governess, her neighbor, her brother's neighbor, her sister, a lady that lives down the street. There are a ton of different perspectives that we are seeing of different people and learning about their lives, and then eventually somehow those lives are connecting back to what Emma is currently doing as she is post-university. And Emma is very observant, but also she thinks she knows best. A lot of what we read about Emma is about her trying to be a matchmaker. She thinks that she knows who should be in a relationship with who, and she's so, what she thinks, subtly trying to gather those people so that they will fall for a relationship. And if it works out, then she knew best. If it doesn't work out, then she knew that in the end it wasn't worth it. Emma is quite the interesting character. If you don't, or if you're not a people watcher, then you probably wouldn't care about this story that much. At least that's my take so far. But I could potentially finish this book tonight. I probably won't though. I am going to go on a bike ride right now and listen to it a little bit more and then see if I can read a little bit more tonight. I'll keep you posted on what I end up finishing and rating it. Talk to you then. Okay, one last thought. This book is inspired by Gilmore Girls because of the direct correlation. It is not giving fall, it's not giving cozy, if that's what you're going into this book looking for. I think the next book will be, but you'll have to wait until I read it. If it looks like I was just crying, it's because I was. I just watched a Hopecore video on TikTok. Don't suggest. Anywho, it is now Wednesday. I am currently on my lunch break and I have done some serious damage on Emma, which is by Alexander McCall Smith, a modern retelling of Emma by Jane Austen. And guess what? We finished it. I will say I have used my resources this week and really tackled Emma on all different sources. The hardback copy of Emma, the Libby copy of Emma on my Kindle, and the Libby audiobook of Emma on my phone. So thank you to the library this week. I will say I have rated this version of Emma a 3.5 star. Towards the end of the book, or the last 50% of the book, I was really grappling with, am I supposed to like Emma? This is a classic about this person, or a retelling of the classic about this person. And then I didn't really start to like her again until the last 20 or 30 pages of the book. I think that Emma is a complex character that we could probably all see a little bit of ourselves in many different ways. She thinks she knows best, but everyone else around her also thinks they know best. So it was an interesting story. A 3.5 star, honestly, is a better rating than I could have anticipated for this book for two reasons. This is contemporary fiction, a retelling of a classic. Classics feel very intimidating to me, and I don't ever really gravitate to contemporary fiction. So 3.5 stars is really good for me in this rating. And also because I put up the ratings of the retelling, which is what I read, and they're not good. On one app, the rating average is a 3.13 out of about 14,000 ratings. And most of them are saying that this is not a good comparison to the classic by Jane Austen, which in my opinion, I don't know if it's fair to rate it solely based off of the regular classic, but I get why people do it because it's a retelling, so it wouldn't exist without that classic. So it's a double-edged sword in my opinion. The classic by Jane Austen is rated a 4.05 star with like 961,000 ratings. So such a stark difference in the two. If you've read Emma by Jane Austen, or if you've read a retelling of a classic, let me know your thoughts and how you would go about it. That's all. I'm gonna go eat my lunch and start the next book that is inspired by Gilmore Girls, more of an inspiration with vibes, cozy, warm fall, and you'll see that later on today. I'm trying to chug through these books if I'm being honest, because The Life of a Showgirl comes out on Friday and I've got plans on Saturday. I just know I'm going to get really busy after Friday and I want to be devoted to The Life of a Showgirl. So we're gonna see how fast we can read the next book. Talk to you later. Hello. It is now later in the day since I last talked to you. I am off work and I have been grinding like a busy bee reading our next book, which is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. I mean, take a look at this cover. It's screaming cozy fall vibes. Now, this book is inspired by Gilmore Girls in a few different ways. If you've ever watched Gilmore Girls, then you know we've got fall, we've got cozy, we've got autumnal, we've got town meetings, we've got flannel. And quite literally, at the beginning of this book, there is a blurb that says, if you ever wished you lived in Stars Hollow, or that Luke and Lorelai would just get together already, then her books are definitely for you. And her books is referring to Laurie Gilmore. And literally, the author's name is Laurie Gilmore, but I did look into this because I had heard someone say that that's a pen name, and I did in fact find that her real name is Melissa McTurnan, but she writes under this pen name for her small town romance novels. And if you're on the booktube, book talk realm, then you've probably seen this book or any of the other books in the Dream Harbor series. There are a ton now. I feel like a new one is cranking out all the time. Me personally, I've only read one other, which is funny. I read the Christmas one before I read this one. So I've already met some of the characters that we're seeing in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So a little backstory on this book. I had actually been seeing people not rate it very highly, so I was a little bit scared to read it for this video. It was also, I did a video a little while back about my lowest rated and my highest rated book on my TBR, and this was actually my lowest rated. But I didn't pick it up because I knew I was going to be saving it for the fall time, so I was scared. Also, I fell under the hype last year. I felt like everyone was talking about this book or the series of books, whether it was the Christmas Tree Farm one, or the Pumpkin Spice, Cinnamon something one, and I had just kept trying to find it at the local bookstore. They would always sell out of it. So eventually they put me on their list one day and they got it back in stock right after fall time last year. So I went ahead and bought it because I felt bad not buying it after being on the list, and then I've just held on to it ever since. And I didn't want to waste it, so I'm gonna read the hard copy or the paperback copy, and it's actually on Kindle Unlimited too. So this is a contemporary romance and it is dual point of view. And just like the inspiration, we are in a very small town, and just to go ahead and give you a warning, it says on the back, small town spicy romance. Our female main character, her name is Jeannie, and Jeannie is trying to get away from a full-time, basically like corporate level role. She was an executive assistant and she wants to leave that life. So she escaped to the small town, and it was perfect timing because her aunt, who owns the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, also wanted to give up basically ownership of the cafe to Jeannie. So she moves to this small town to run the cafe, and in meets our male main character, Logan, which I think I've already said in the video, I am hashtag Team Logan from Gilmore Girls. Drop your team down below. But Logan is the local farmer. He hates gossip. So when Jeannie rolls in, he's like, I want nothing to do with this. Get this girl away from me. Been there, done that with people rolling through as tourists in my town. Don't want to do it again. Will that actually happen? We will see. Not surprisingly, I have started this book today and flown through. So I'm currently sitting at 114. I am approaching halfway through this book. I'll keep you updated probably later tomorrow and let you know how I'm feeling about it. Hello, hello. It is now Thursday. It's literally 4 minutes until I go back to work, but I've made some significant progress on the pumpkin spice cafe. Give me your thoughts. Are you a pumpkin spice person? I actually don't like pumpkin spice at all. I patiently wait my turn until Christmas and sugar cookie flavored things. Those are my favorite. I have not picked it up on Kindle Unlimited yet. I've been really just liking reading the paper copy, and I'm on page 230. So I am well past the halfway mark. I think I'll definitely finish this after work today, which was honestly my goal because The Life of a Showgirl comes out tonight. So far, you get what you get. I mean, I picked this up knowing it'd be small town, cheesy, spicy romance, and that's what it is exactly. I'm honestly not as cringed out as I was expecting to be, and it's very easy to read. Clearly, I'm like flying through it. So I'll keep you posted. Very quick update, very quick book, very cozy book. I'm enjoying it so far. Honestly, it's not very spicy just yet. We've yet to enter the large amount of spice, and we're more than halfway, so I'd say that's pretty good. Talk to you later. Don't mind the floor to top of the door frame gate we have on our kitchen because of our crazy food motivated cats. I have got my Gilmore Girls slipper on and I am entering my weekend. It is now after work on Thursday and I have tomorrow off. I need to take our cats to the vet. Life of a showgirl, you're only a girl once in this life, so I took the day off. And I am excited to report that I have finished The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. And unlike a lot of the other reviews, I honestly still feel pleasant about this book finishing it. Towards the end there, I did kind of bite my words. It got a little bit spicy in the last few chapters, but hey, we can't say we're not warned. It is literally right on the back of the book. And it's really kind of just like a Hallmark dream for fall time, small town spicy romance. If that's what you want to read, then certainly pick this book up. I love Jeannie because I felt like her moving to this small town was not because of her life is miserable. She just broke up with someone, which is what we get a lot of times. Whereas it was really the male main character Logan who had a bad breakup, but he already lived in the town. And so I like that that's not the reasons behind her turnaround or her motivations to run this coffee shop. And instead we had to watch Logan overcome his insecurities and his issues as it pertain to life in a small town with the new owner of the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So I think that I'm gonna give this book a rating of a 3.5 star, which is such a good rating for what it is, really. That's all I've got to say on that. And I had such a fun week reading inspired by Gilmore Girls. The weather is starting to get a little bit cooler here. The leaves are falling, the leaves are turning, and I'm excited to fully embrace Gilmore Girl life in the next few weeks. Now with the fall time comes a lot of new releases. If there's a new fall release that happened and you're like, this is very Gilmore Girls coded, very Gilmore Girls inspired, let me know in the comments below. I think this hit the head on the nail, truly though. As someone who's watched it, it had all of the small town work that you'd see in Gilmore Girls. So give me any recommendations for any others that you think do the same. That's all, bye for now. I outroed the video and then realized I wanted to say that officially means that I have read all the books on my physical TBR except for one book, which is book number 3 in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, because I just didn't read it that week that I read all the other ones, but I'm so excited to have gotten it down. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe had been on that TBR forever.